but that's only 25% of your marketplace. The other 75%, or at least some like me, unless you can explain the how behind it, I will still do it, but there will always be this possible credibility mismatch. Why can't they explain to me why I need to do it? Why can't I get a deeper level of distinction? So when you're able, peeling back the curtain is half the magic. It really is, because when you can truly learn, do, teach, and teach it to others, and they can see, oh yeah, now this is how I can do it. And thus, they will be greater mentees, they will be greater clients, and they will get more results, because now they can see it both with their logical mind, their left brain, but also the right brain, is that this feels right. Well, now that you have both, they're going to be better clients.
Love it. I love these conversations before the real conversation. Those are the best conversations ever. And I started recording them and I started going live because I want people to really see, you know, this is what we do. This is who we are. We're not just coming on, putting on a facade and then doing a webinar and then being done. This is true. We breathe. This is our driver, and I'm so happy that all of you are here with us. I know that there are several coming on as I'm speaking. So John, I made you the co-host. Okay. I'm going to get started and want to be very mindful of your time. Hey Gayla, it's so good to see you here, friend. And many familiar faces.
I think if we can open a question of both Gayla and Hyun, so that way we're good, and that way the 3 early birds get a bonus, and then we can get started. So please take advantage of this. No, take advantage isn't the right word. Seize the opportunity to ask questions of Brigitta and myself. So unmute yourself, raise your hand. I know I'm old school, but I'm old school with an attitude. Raise your hand and ask a question.
Hi, I'm getting back into NLP. I learned it a while back, and so I'm reinstituting my relearning of it and reusing of it. But yeah, Brigitta, it's nice to see you. We were in, I think, Warrior together.
Yes, that's where I know you from. I knew you from somewhere. It's so good to see you. Where are you located, Hyun?
I'm in Arlington, Virginia, and I just published the Asian American anthology, I Am an American Too.
Fantastic. There's an interesting resource you may want to look. It's called Becoming American. It was done on PBS. My wife is from Taiwan. I worked and lived overseas. I speak Mandarin Chinese only conversantly, but it's a great perspective on the American experience for Asian Americans. I got it not only for myself, but also something to share with my daughter when she gets older. So, and back to
now you can also give her this. We are the first Asian anthology that actually has used social media, and we actually put off publishing because of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So we actually have included our protests and our activism and advocacy.
Fantastic. And you're going to learn these tools at a deeper level. Yes, they never really left you. And now you're going to have a deeper distinction on the application of it. Brigitta, observations on this?
Yeah.
Take our 3rd question before jumping right in.
No, I'm excited that you're here, and it's always great to reconnect with beautiful faces that I haven't seen in a while. Same here, Gayla, girl, I haven't seen you in ages.
Hey, I'm still alive. Yes, manifesting more stuff, more dreams, a lot more happening than I've told you. So yeah, good stuff happening. Right place, right time.
That's good. I can't wait to catch up. Let's do that offline soon.
Okay.
Gayla's here in Atlanta, and she has been, gosh, she's been my client, and she left being a medical doctor and said, you know what, I can't do this any longer. And I let her, you know, I was part of leading her through the process. And this lady is, boy, she has overcome some obstacles and adversities, and makes you so incredibly strong and beautiful and humble all at the same time. So let's get right into it, because we got energy to bring and content to bring. As I said here, rich and actionable content. That's what we're here to do. Welcome everyone. We've now established, my name is Brigitta Hoeferle. I am very humbled and excited to be here with you on this beautiful Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Pacific. Well, it's a few minutes past now. And I am the CEO of and owner of the NLP Center of Atlanta. This is an institute and a educational facility that's been around since 1986. I own another educational facility, then that is a Montessori school up in Tennessee. And we have grown from 3 students in 2005, holy cow, to 120 students for this upcoming school year. So I'm very humbled and excited about that growth as well, and the work that we do there with our children. And education, you know, I'm a living testimony of that. Education never ends. It starts before birth and it never ends. Let me say it this way, it should never end. For some people it does end, and that's sad. So we're here to bring you content-rich information with a lot of fun. I promise you're not going to get bored. Make sure that you have something to write on and something to write with. Make sure that this thing, which can be a huge distraction, which is your phone, is turned off or turned on silent. No need to check any emails or anything or social media right now. Stay present. Make sure that you take notes. And I'm actually live on Facebook, so if you want to rewatch it again, you can go on our NLP Atlanta Facebook page and see it there again. Or I'm also going to send you guys an email with the recording as well. And because this is a safe space as well, and we feed off of your energy, we want to encourage you to stay live with your video. We want, you know, we are in integrity. We want you to stay in integrity and just give it all as we are here present with you, because how you do anything is how you do everything. I'm super excited to be here with John Kurth, who is a CEO and very knowledgeable, and I'm going to use the word powerhouse. Yes, that's how I describe you, John. He's part of our faculty, and he's also the CEO of his own company, which is the Syntactics Sales Scripting. So he has his own organization as well. John, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Welcome, Brigitta. It's so glad to be here, and it's an honor to be a member of the NLP Center of Atlanta faculty and to partner with a powerhouse in her own right. So a little bit more about the story about how Brigitta and I met, because we're all about stories, and stories are very powerful. So Brigitta and I met several years ago at an international sales convention of all places in Las Vegas. She was the master of ceremonies, the MC of the 5-day event. There were people from all over the world. Some people flew in from Australia, some people flew in from South Africa, and sitting in the audience in day one, I could tell immediately that she was highly skilled in NLP. Yes, she looked professional, but I say you'll know an NLP master, NLP grandmaster when you hear one. Not when you see one, when you hear one. Because it was written all over her language patterns. Also over the multi-day event, I saw her work one-on-one with people in the audience. I was kind of lurking around, seeing how she was interacting with people. Again, focusing on her trust and rapport, and more importantly, how she was effectively using her NLP skills for business breakthroughs with people in the audience. So I was one of the guest experts at the conference. I taught a values-driven selling piece and NLP. There was, what, 200, 300 people in the room that day? There was a lot of people in the room. So I was there speaking and selling from stage. And a little bit more about my background. I have taught 1-, 2-, and 6-day NLP workshops before. I work with professionals who speak and sell from stage. It's a totally different skill set. You can educate people from stage, but to sell from stage, getting people to run to the back of the room and sign up, is a totally different skill set. So I was there by invitation of the CEO. She was the chief sales officer for her business. She was speaking in front of 5,500, 5,000 people. Prior to working with me, she was only closing 3 to 5% from stage. After working with me, she closed 15 to 20% of the room. She was getting and was very, very successful. So she invited me to speak from stage. Now, It was, you could say, a classic pitch fest. Each speaker could deliver value and offer a product or service. I was at the worst slot of all. Sunday afternoon in Vegas, okay? It was a multi-day event. People spent a lot of money at the gambling tables or at the shows. People spent other, money on some of the other people's products and services. When my turn came to speak, I still closed 25% of the room. I don't say this to brag. I say this, you can have confidence in what I have to share with you. And Brigitte and I really hit it off, but there was a great picture of, we were invited to an invitation only event. Do you have a picture of that, Brigitte?
Yeah, let me share it with you guys because it's a great picture. Bear with me. There it is.
We looked good. Now there's a guy in the background over my left shoulder. He's wearing a t-shirt. I mean, come on.
How
So
dare he?
anyway, this is where we kicked it off. We knew, we could tell right away we were both highly skilled in NLP, and we don't use it lightly. Brigitte is a grandmaster of NLP. Later on, we can get into our lineage, but she definitely has got it. I have it too. And from there, we partnered. So now we're going to be sharing with you a little more information about one of our upcoming events, talking about the crossroads of NLP. But Brigitte, any observations before we jump into some of the content?
Yeah, I want to speak to the crossroads really quick. So as NLP practitioners, if you have gone through the NLP practitioner just recently, or like you a while back, or you are going through the NLP practitioner in August, we have our practitioner courses every 2 months. You are probably at a crossroads in your journey because you'd like to achieve, and I really hope that everyone, and I think I can speak to most of you that I know on this call, that you're always looking at a higher level of achievement and going to a place of mastery, right? Or else why would you do what you're doing? So it's time for you to choose that path. And within this course, we're giving you some incredible knowledge and content that you can implement. You might or might not have been doing fine with NLP. You might not even be aware that you have been using what you thought was kind of on mute or on sleep mode, and you've still been using it subconsciously. That is the beauty of practicing NLP. That's the beauty of practicing anything. I had a conversation the other day with one of our NLP practitioners who never showed up in our tribe calls, who never practiced with any of us. And our facility is open to practice, because if you just think that you can come to a course like ours, and there are a lot of information, content rich, real facts and data that we give you to implement in your business. But if you're not using it, if you're not applying it, if you're not exercising it, if you're not practicing it, guess what? You're not going to get fluent at it. I mean, it's just like anything else in life. You are not, there's a beautiful German saying, no master has fallen from heaven. You must go through the steps. As Tony Robbins said, you can't skip steps. So you must start where you're at, and the beginning can be tough, but it's the perseverance, it's the practicing, it's the application and the implementing it in your daily life that's going to eventually make you a master. And surrounding yourself with people that will hold you to that higher level, hold you to that higher standard. You're in great company here. And as John said earlier, we're going to talk a little bit about lineage on this call, but as we go deeper into the crossroads, we're actually going to make you aware of your true lineage. And that has power all in itself and huge credibility, which will lead you to more visibility as well. And I sure hope that if you are in business, that visibility is on your agenda, so you're more visible to more people to do, greater good and create more win-win-win scenarios. So I would say we are ready to jump in, giving you the content-rich information that we have been promising you and bragging about. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Yes? Okay, cool. All right, John, back to you.
All right, so going through with this, next slide, truly you're at a crossroads of NLP. Which journey, which step are you going to take? Are you going to take the easy road and stay stuck in stagnation? That's how many of you may have just fallen into. Okay, I learned NLP, some of the techniques, maybe a couple months ago, a couple years ago. And if you haven't been using it, you're really stuck in a stagnation. But you want to take the path of growth. So you're at a crossroads now. Next slide. So today I'm going to share with you one of the advanced techniques we're going to be teaching at our Crossroads of NLP workshop. This advanced NLP technique is called the new power of now. Now, one of the things I want to highlight before we jump into this, Brigitta talked about being fluent in NLP. It's just like a language, but let's look at the core of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Neurology is your brain. Linguistic is how you program it. NLP. So we're going to share with you this advanced neuro-linguistic program technique called the new power of now. Next slide, please. Here's the problem. People are dragging the past into now. Look at this heavy load this person is carrying. So how can you really change the present moment when you're dragging the past into the now? You've got all this baggage coming with you. But it gets worse. People are also dragging their fears, their phobias, their limiting beliefs, maladaptive behaviors, and other problems into now. So how do we solve this? Next slide. Because how can you truly create a fresh start? How can you really create a fresh start? Everyone talks about a fresh start. Or as an NLP practitioner, how can you get the subject into the now as free of past negative patterns as possible? How do you get them into the now as free from as much of the baggage as possible from the past? How do you get the subject to get into a clean slate, or as a clean slate as possible, to affect change? NLP has sometimes been called the technology of success. Well, here's a very powerful technology. How do you get them into as a clean slate as possible so they can affect change? The new power of now does this and more. Next slide, please. Let's talk about timelines. Timelines, dragging the past into now versus the new power of now. Look at the top. The top is a timeline that's typical. You've got your past, you have the now, I'm not going to call it the present, you got the past, the now, and the future. But do you see below that how the limiting belief from the past is now dragged into now, carried into the now, which then pollutes the now, which means that limiting belief, fear or phobia or whatever it is now being perpetuated. It's being dragged from the past into now, and since it's still being carried, it is being dragged and brought from the now into the future. That it's polluting the now, it's perpetuating itself. So look at the second timeline below, which is really the new power of now timeline. You've got the past, you've got the now, and then you got the future. But here's the difference. You've got the limiting belief, and then there's a block. See all those X's there? We are blocking the limiting belief from coming into the now. Now, you have that clean slate. Now you've got a place from which to create a more promising and more powerful future. Even most successful business owners, athletes, everybody, as successful as they are, there are lids on where they are going. Here's some of the lids. What is a limiting belief? It sets an artificial limit. So with the new power now timeline, I wanted to show it graphically. You're putting up those blocks. You're blocking that limiting belief, fear or phobia, whatever it is, from ever reaching the now. So let's go on to the next slide. Remember, neuro-linguistic programming is all about language patterns, advanced language patterns. And remember, I talked about earlier, by being able to deconstruct a technique that allows you as the practitioner to use it more effectively, because now you really will know, here's where I can use it. And it also increases your level of influence with your clients, because now you can explain it to them why it works. Brigitta talked about scaffolding. There's really a scaffolding that goes from the master practitioner to the student. That scaffolding gives them that confidence. So now they're getting some of those wins, and then they can do it themselves. So your influence is going to go way up when you can explain why. And when you can peel back the curtain, people say, no one ever else has taught that to me before. Yes, because we are true lineage holders. So let's look at the language pattern of it. What pattern have I been doing up until now that? The core element of this script is up until now. The phrase up until now is a powerful pattern interrupt. It's a linguistic pattern interrupt. You don't have to ring a bell or something. They're all pattern interrupts. This is a linguistic pattern interrupt that is built into it. What pattern have I been doing up until now? That's the pattern interrupt. And the phrase is more powerful still. Up until now breaks the subconscious associations from the past and stops it from coming into the present, which is the now. Further explanation of the script. And now I claim my learning. All right, now let's stop here for a second. What pattern have I been doing up until now? That. The limiting belief is identified here. What pattern have I been doing up until now? That. Insert limiting belief. Insert fear or phobia. Insert whatever maladaptive pattern is being run. What pattern have I been doing up until now? That. Fill in the blank. Notice we just said pattern. We're more disassociated. There is no judgment from the practitioner to the student on pattern. It is neutral. It's Belgium, for crying out loud. So what pattern have I been doing up until now? That. Fill in the blank for maladaptive behavior. All right, you're identifying the limiting belief. Now, once the limiting belief is identified, while the subconscious associations from the past are stopped from coming into the present, now we're going to go deeper. Next slide, Brigitta, please. And there is someone else to invite in. So let's continue with it. Again, the power of now, scripts and the syntax. So what pattern I've been doing up until now? That. Now we go deeper into the pattern. And now I claim my skill. Or, and now I claim my learning. The phrase, and now I claim my skill, or now I claim my learning, you are stating with conviction your intention. You are deciding what new skill or learning is yours. You may not have mastered it yet. Doesn't matter. You are deciding what new skill or learning is yours. Now let's get into the origin of it. The word decision comes from the Latin root, which means to cut off. That's why so many people fear decisions. You are cutting off. There's no going back. So you are stating your decision, and now I claim my learning. You are cutting off all the linkages to the past. I now have the new learning, because you must replace a maladaptive pattern with a new, more empowering one. So this is why the new power of now technique is so powerful. Limiting beliefs are stopped from coming into the present. And now you've got a clean slate to then decide and declare what your new learnings are. Now, doesn't matter what skill level you have at this point. It doesn't matter. You are stating an intention. These are the skills I'm going to be using going forward. This is just one of the many advanced techniques we cover in the Crossroads of NLP. Brigitta, observations or pivoting to your content, which is as good, if not better than this?
Thank you for that, John. You know, we have several, and I don't know if I can't see the full screen of people that have come on in the meantime as I'm sharing my screen, but we've had several of our participants from last year's Crossroad that when I talk to them or when I coach them or we're on a phone call, they use this language pattern regularly, and they catch themselves. They would say something like, you know, I really can't do that. Oh, wait, no. Up until now, I couldn't do this. From here on forward, I am, and then they fill in what they are achieving, right? So this language pattern, as simple and as profound as it may sound, it is so absolutely incredibly powerful. And that is like the core of Crossroads. Now, know that on Crossroads, we're going to go levels and levels and levels deeper. What John just shared with you is a golden nugget that I sure hope that you put on a sticky note and put it everywhere in your house that you possibly can. And remember who taught it to you. John Kurth is an incredible human being and expert in NLP, of course, grandmaster. So yeah, use that language pattern and run with it, because it is a beautiful tool to use in your daily language and adapting it in your daily language. So I want to add to that. Oh, here it is again. Beautiful picture of John and I. I love looking back at this picture. And honestly, I think, John, green glasses would be something that this picture needs. We might have to Photoshop this.
Yeah, I just couldn't get away with getting lime green glasses. Being, for people who are bank, I'm KBNA, so I'm really K, but my glasses are green. Okay, so I'm blue. So all right, yes, we might need to Photoshop that, perhaps.
Okay, great. I want to add to the beautiful golden nuggets that John shared with you and give you the P&L model. No, it's not the profit and loss model. It's actually the profit and profit model of how you really get to your well-formed outcome. It is the pacing and leading model. And I'm going to give it to you very strategically, just like John gave you the strategic language patterns in a model. So I hope that you all are very familiar, and if you're not, you know, that's one thing that we teach in the practitioner course with well-formed outcomes. A well-formed outcome is much more than a glorified goal. It is very specific. There's an entire process that we teach in the practitioner course on well-formed outcomes. But in any situation, in any deal making, in any conversation, in any networking event, in anything that you do in life, you should have well-formed outcomes spelled out, that you know what you're actually aiming for, or else you're just kind of shooting, you know, darts all over the place and hope that one of them sticks. Well, too many people go through life like that, and then they wonder why they're not living the life that they truly want, and why are they not closing the deals in business that they truly want to close, and why they're not getting the results that they actually, you know, somewhat spelled out for themselves. Often it's just a lack of clarity, and often it's just a lack of being super specific. What is it that you want? By when do you want it? Do you have the resources? And what is in your control? So I've touched on some of the steps that we go through as we determine a well-formed outcome. And as I said, we do that, we go deeper into that in the practitioner course. What I really want to teach today in the, excuse me, in the pacing and leading model is, how do you get to that well-formed outcome with the pacing and leading? So you must define your well-formed outcome. And the pacing is all about you getting on the level of someone, and that often happens by listening, simply by listening to their words and simply by listening to what they're not saying. One of the laws of NLP is you cannot not communicate. We go through all of those laws in the practitioner course. This is not what this is right now, but you cannot not communicate. So know what you are listening for and know what you are paying attention to. The encoded language, I'm going to go through that a little bit more. The problem that someone has, the obstacles, the challenges, the values. People will tell you, if you listen and you truly close your mouth and you listen without your brain going into 500 different directions and having an agenda laid out, what smart thing you're going to say next. No, listening really means to listen for the clues that the other person that you're communicating with is giving you. Because if we truly listen on a deeper level, there are enough clues that will reveal that you can use for a constructive communication and perhaps closing a deal. So let me go through that as we move on in this process. You listen to relate. Most people listen to respond. Most people already have their agenda laid out, and they think, I don't know if you guys know JP Sears. He's like this comedian that takes self-development a little bit on the funny side. But he had this skit the other day, and I did a little extract. I'm going to put it on our Facebook page. But they're talking to each other, and he's saying, you know, I appear to be listening, but what I'm really doing is I'm thinking of the next smart thing to say, so you're more interested in me. That's really what most people do, right? Boy, don't do that. I mean, just take my word for it, don't do it. It doesn't lead you to your well-formed outcome if you really know what your well-formed outcome is. So as you are pacing someone, and that means as you're getting on their level of communication, as you're paying attention to what the words that they're using, or maybe the limiting beliefs that they're using that's coming out in their words, the word catalog that they're using, the value-based word catalog. Some of you might know the bank value-based communication. Are they more a blueprint? Are they using more value-based language of a blueprint? Structure, processes, that they got to have it step by step. Are they more of an action? Are they more of a fun and image and flexibility type of person? Are they more nurturing? It must be an integrity. The ethics play a big role. The harmony and the networking and the keeping everything together and making a bigger impact. Or are they a knowledge-based person? Are they truly looking for facts and data and information and wanting to know the entire big picture of it all, right? So paying attention to that, of course, you must learn how to pay attention for that. You must learn what to listen for. So you got to go through those steps, which we teach. The representational system word catalog, are they more visual? Do they draw an image of something? Or are they more auditory? Do they listen for the clues? Are they kinesthetic? Do they have to create a feeling around what you're telling them? So paying attention to that word catalog. The tonality that they're using, are they more of a timid kind of person, and are they more soft-spoken? Do they take their time as they're speaking? Or are they in your face, high energy, go get it kind of personality? You can pace them, you can pace the other person, I'm going to call them the other, with your words, or with their words, with their tonality, because quite frankly, too many people come in and just bulldoze over. They don't get the concept of pacing. They just want to go right into leading. Newsflash, that's not how it works. It doesn't work in parenting. It doesn't work in relationships. It doesn't work in business relationships. It doesn't work. So you becoming a master in pacing and really paying attention to all of these nuances is going to help you greatly. And then there's the body language. You know, if we go by the Moravian communication model, body language is 55% of our communication when it's highly emotional. So paying attention to the body language, that's why I love Zoom calls, because I feed off of your energy, but I can also pay attention to your body language. I am not just hearing your words and your tonality. So in pacing, mirroring and matching the body language, mirroring and matching the word catalog, mirroring and matching the tonality is all about pacing. When you get good at that, then you're already doing the biggest part of it all. You're getting on their level. Think about when you saw a small child the last time. Did you talk to them from, you know, above down and talk with all of your big words? Probably not. You probably got down on their level, got on your knees, and your vocabulary and your sentence structure suddenly became very simple. That's a beautiful, very easy analogy of pacing. You talk to that child in this case, that it lands with them, that they can relate to you, that they can understand what you're saying, right? If you speak to a visual person and you only speak in the kinesthetic word catalog, they can't hear you, like literally cannot hear you, because you're too connected to the feelings, to the feeling word catalog. So pacing is your new best friend. And once you have rapport, and there's testing around that you can see, okay, I'm starting to lead now You can do that, say, with tonality. You're talking to the other person that has a very, slow pace in their cadence, and they're, very soft spoken, maybe a little timid in the way that they sit and the way that they act. And you're starting to lead them. You can see if you can pick up the pace in your cadence, if you can pick up the volume a little bit, if you can, adjust your body posture a little bit. You can see if they're now going with you. If there's enough rapport that you have built, they will also subconsciously go with you. That means that you're starting to lead them over to seeing the world from your perspective, or starting to see what you're saying if they were only very auditory, right? So if they're not coming along, if they're staying, if they're becoming even more timid and they're even more reserved and they're getting even quieter, that's great feedback for you that you don't have rapport yet. So guess what? Now you got to go back to pacing, and it starts all over again, right? Often we go into a room where we network. Nowadays, it's not that easy anymore because we just can't get together in big groups. But we would go in a room and we would hit it off with someone immediately, like Gayla and I, girl, we are soulmates. And, although Gayla is high nurturing and but she's also high action, and so am I. So we immediately hit it off, right? If I am meeting a person and I don't have flexibility in choice in my language and flexibility in choice in my doing, I will not be able to build rapport. The more flexibility and choice that I have in my word catalog and in my nonverbal communication, the more, if I don't have that, I cannot build relationships with people that are not like me. Guess what? They're about 75% of people that are not like me, because if we go by the BA&K, the blueprint, the action, the nurturing knowledge, or the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, auditory, digital, we're one and dominant. We're leaving 75% on the table. So you becoming more flexible, having more choice, is going to be your friend in building relationships. And building relationships is doing business. Building relationship is creating a deeper connection with your partner, with your spouse, with your kids, with whoever, business partner, right? So now we can lead them to our well-formed outcome, and we can only lead them to the well-formed outcome when we have what? True rapport, right? And then there's one last thing that I'm going to, and I don't know, my thumb, my picture of my Zoom, there it is. So the anchor is there. Wanted to make sure that anchor is on the bottom right. Now you can anchor it in. Now you can create some sort of visual anchor, auditory anchor, kinesthetic anchor of that well-formed outcome with whoever you have been pacing and then leading. So creating an anchor could be an agreement that you make. Say you are at a networking event and you have paced someone and you've paid attention, you really listened to their word catalog and their tonality, and you feel there's some business to be had, or there might be some joint venture, or there might be some synergies, whatever it may be. You can now create an agreement, say, hey, how about we meet up for coffee and do a one-on-one or get on a Zoom call. That is the anchor that anchors in for the next step. And then, you might start the pacing again, or you might pick up where you can continue to lead, depending on how much credibility you have with that person, how much rapport you have with that person. So I want to open it up really quick, John, for a few minutes for some question and answers, and then I want to pivot to one more topic that we have in our call. Any questions, you guys? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for right now.
When you have an opportunity for two NLP Grandmasters say any questions, I highly encourage you to ask a question.
Now, I know most of you on this call, you guys are not shy people. I know that for a fact. Well, maybe Kathy.
This is the audience participation part of the program. Unmute yourself and ask a question. This is a very safe space.
You
I don't
come on
really
out.
have a question. It maps on to exactly what I know, what I'm trained in, just different languaging. So I really don't have a question.
Okay, but that's a great observation. Thank you, Kathy. Again, it reinforces what you know so you can be even better applying it. Great.
So
I
for
can
me,
make. Uh-oh.
okay, the visual, auditory, and kinesiology.
Kinesthetic.
Sorry, kinesthetic. Now I know that I'm thinking something else. How do you, when you're mirroring that, what's the best way to do for kinesthetic?
Okay, first of all, pace leading. You want to do either a half step. So if I'm talking to the archetypical New Yorker who talks a mile a minute, I'm gonna go up a half step for me. If the person's a little more slow, I'm going to take it a half step down. Now, mirroring and matching does not mean copying. The other thing, one of the advanced things we teach is cycling through KAV. Kinesthetic, auditory, visual, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Brigitta and I have been cycling through all those 3 rep systems on this entire call. That's how you do it.
So, Ewan, we've created these cards, and you can actually buy those cards if you chose to. But in order to listen, that's what I said earlier, in order to listen, you must know what you're listening for. So in our practitioner course, we go through that word catalog. And here's some. I've actually created these cards for a training that I did for a huge customer care team, because they're like, yeah, how do I listen for that as we're learning it? And I said, here are these cards. And when you're getting an understanding, which is auditory digital, of what that person is truly saying and what is their dominant code in their rep system, you put that card at the very top. So you kind of, listen for, are they using more visual words, see, picture, look, image, show, or anything like that, that would give you a true insight that they're visually processing information? Or are they more auditory? Do they have to truly listen and hear what you're saying? Or are they more kinesthetic? Do they grasp the concept that you're telling them? Do they have to feel, create a feeling for it, right? And then there's the auditory digital word catalog as well, which is a lot of processing in your head, right? So these might be really good. And if you are say you're a high visual person, I'm going to take me as an example. Say you're a high visual person, right? It can get really hard to learn to use auditory words, because that just didn't come when I started learning NLP. That didn't come natural to me. I'll give you a great example, a great story of one of my clients, and I got his permission to tell this story. A few years ago, he owns several multi-million-dollar businesses, and he brought us in to train him to become a better leader. Clearly, he was, he comes from a different culture, and clearly he didn't know what he didn't know. And at one day when we had our coaching meeting, he got really upset with his CPA. And I said, so, what's the problem here? And he says, well, every day when I drive to one of my offices, I drive in my Tesla, the car drives itself, I'm on the phone with him, and I tell him in the spreadsheets, and I tell him in the numbers what needs to happen and what he needs to adjust. But the guy just does not hear what I'm saying. And I said, okay, tell me more about your CPA. Turns out, as he's telling me more about his CPA, that his CPA is not auditory, which my client is highly auditory because he's telling him what to do. The CPA is high visual. Turns out he's high visual. And I said, here's what you're going to do. You're not going to call him on your way. You're going to do other stuff on the way to work. When you get to the office, you're going to either have a Zoom call or a FaceTime call. You're going to share your screen with a spreadsheet, and you're going to show him what you want done. And then you're going to report back. 3 days later, he reported back, and he goes, holy cow, it's like day and night. The dude is doing exactly what I want him to do.
Mm-hmm. Good. Gayla has a question, and then we're going to pivot into what's next. So Gayla, you took advantage and raised your hand, and we can see your beautiful smiling face. So what's your question or observation or aha moment?
Well, it's all of the above. I'm an empath, so I
Okay.
pick up on everything, and it's helped me very, very, very well in my career, as a physician. And not only now, I'm coaching people, so a lot of the times I can find their problem and know it before they do. I feel it, and I don't know, it comes naturally for me to be able to spin it around and show it to them. But one of the challenges is the mirroring piece, because then my energy ends up matching their energy, which sometimes is not good, right? Because I'm supposed to be the healer in that scenario. So I feel like this is really great, because now I can use those skill sets to be able to explain it to them in a way that they'll get it, even though I get it, like way before.
Thing is, your solution is pace, 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 lead.
Yeah.
You need to empathize and meet with
Right.
them where they're at, but you're leading them from a stuck state to a higher energy state. The good news is an empath, you can pick it up on like this, but the bad news as an empath is you can mirror and match them so much that now we have two people stuck instead of one person stuck.
Right.
So what we want you to do is take that gift that you have, but then knowing where your well-formed outcome is so you can pace them from a stuck state to a more empowered state. So that's going to help you, because now knowing where you're going, and you want to get to a higher feeling state because it just feels better. But now you know, so you're not stuck. That's why empaths can come across as highly intuitive coaches. It's almost second nature.
Yes.
But the real danger is they can't get out of it. It's both their gift and their curse, so to speak. But once knowing the pace, pace, pace lead methodology, you know where that well-formed outcome is, and you're taking them. I'm high AD and high K. So for me is, how can I get emotional enough with them to lead them? Because I see logically where they need to go. But unless I meet with them there, then I'm also stuck. See, Brigitta and I, it's all about the flexibility where we have learned and adapted and practice. Practice makes the master. Brigitta, why don't you share with us what's coming up?
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Great observations, guys, and great feedback. Thank you so much for sharing that. So as we go deeper into the crossroads of NLP, as you are choosing your path, we share with you a deep dive that we do from this course into a deeper dive, and I'm going to share with you what exactly the agenda is of that deep dive course. We have the persuasion, part 1, how audience become receptive to a message before they experience it. We're going to go, as I said earlier, through the are you a true lineage holder? So John and I have in NLP 2 different lineages, and we're both grandmasters. We're both one removed from the master that we have learned from. I have learned from the master that learned from Richard Bandler. So I'm 2 removed. Is that 2 removed? I'm
You're
the
third generation.
I'm in third position.
Teacher to student, teacher to student. We're both third generation.
Right. So there is so much energy and so much credibility in your lineage, and getting very clear on what your lineage is. Again, that is, in anything that you might have learned, I'm pretty sure Kathy can immediately tell us her lineage of where she learned her sports coaching from. So getting very clear on where you came from, what your lineage is a huge piece of credibility and helps you in marketing you, Gayla, in your case, as a coach. Then we go through persuasion, part number 2, how audience become receptive to a message before they experience it. We go through using prospects' narcissism to your advantage, how to use mysteries and open loops more effectively. Advanced techniques for using stories and metaphors. You've heard us tell today, I don't know, numerous stories, because stories make everything way more relatable. And at the same time, we bring in facts as well. It's not either or, it's the harmony of. Then we go through ritual theory and ritual practice of business applications, strategies of visualizations. We go through the peak state and the state of flow, getting into the zone here, and it's the flow being defined. I Some of you might have already read the book Flow. So we're going to go into those 9 core elements, moving towards more resourceful states, which again, we're going to also use some of the strategies of the P&L model. Organizational alignment and organizational congruence, the NLP neurological levels. That we're defining the neurological levels. That all in itself, if we just do that, and I'm pretty sure whoever's taken our Crossroads courses before, it's worth just for that. And I speak out of my own experience. That is one of my favorite exercises in the entire Crossroads. But, but all of the exercises are absolutely incredible. And then going beyond the neurological levels model, the influence mastery, going beyond the change chair. The change chair is something that you use, expanding the space, controlling what your prospect will remember. Remembering, I think we have the remembering process all the way at the bottom. Defense against the dark arts, cults and cult-like brands. That is another incredible piece that John teaches amongst all of the others. And then the influence mastery, post-hypnotic suggestions, and the remembering process, which the remembering process is one of my favorite processes that John teaches amongst all of the others. So that is the Crossroads of NLP. We have done this course last year, and that's when John and I started working together in October, and it was 3 full days here in Atlanta. I flew John all the way in from Orange County, LA, somewhere on the West Coast, right, all the way to Atlanta to teach this 3-day course. And we had an incredible participation group together, and we surely hope that you see the value of that. So this year, because we have the pandemic still kind of lingering on, well, not just kind of, it is lingering on. And you probably watched the news today here in Atlanta. I'm not going to get into politics, but anyway, so we will have our Crossroads live online this year, not in person, live online, which is great news because you get to have time with us even more. So it starts Monday, October 19th and goes throughout the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it starts October 19th. And then the week after that, we're going to continue on that Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the week after that. And we start at 12 o'clock Pacific, and we do 2 hours every day. So we have 2 weeks, 2 hours where we go through all of the strategies, all of the content-rich material that I just shared with you strategically. Beforehand, we will send you a workbook. So you get your workbook sent to you that you don't have to print it out or scramble for it or whatever. We want you to have everything that you are ready to be part of this group and come in every day and learn and go through this content-rich information. Last year, our participants paid $5,000 because like I said, we flew John in, we rented a room. There was a whole lot more cost attached to that course last year. This year, we're going to do it live online. That doesn't mean that you're going to get less. Actually, that means that you're going to get more, honestly. So this year, we chose to do it for 3 payments of $997. You know, till October, we still have a few months to go. So if you want to take advantage of the 3 payments, do that. It's $2,991. You can pay it in 3 payments or you can pay in full. You get two bonuses when you choose to come in by tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock. Tomorrow is the 18th, I think, correct? Yeah, tomorrow's the 18th. So I'm going to give you, John and I are going to give you 2 bonuses. First bonus is a 1-hour breakthrough strategy with John and myself, just you and John and I in a 1-hour breakthrough strategy. And we can focus on whatever you want to focus on. Your business, something that's holding you back in your personal life, you choose, right? And we can elicit that pretty quickly because we are masters and grandmasters in what we do. So 1-hour breakthrough with the 2 of us and you. And then the second bonus on top of that, you get 2 30 minutes mentoring sessions with each individual of us. So a one-on-one with me for 30 minutes and a one-on-one with John for 30 minutes, which you're going to get the best of both worlds. Because newsflash, if you haven't noticed yet, I'm high action and John is high knowledge. We're a great combination right here. And we teach the same content and we teach it differently. And that's what makes us so unique. And that's why our programs are so successful as well. So again, Crossroads of NLP, Choosing Your Path, Monday through Friday, October 19th through the 23rd, and then continuing, it's not either or, it continues that next Monday, October 26th through the 30th. It's 2 hours every day, 12 to 2 on the Pacific time zone, or 3 to 5 in the Eastern time zone every day. You get the workbooks. We're going to do exercises in the breakout rooms. It's very interactive. It is not just lecture. I promise you, we're not going to bore you or Zoom you or PowerPoint you to death. That is my promise to you, and I know I can deliver on that promise. It's always going to be high energy with a lot of content and a lot of applicable steps and applicable information. So as you are going through this, as you're listening to us in the chat box right now, say if this is something, when you're ready right now, say I'm in, and then we will send you an email and we will lead you through the next steps, because we do vet everyone. So if there is someone that I don't personally know yet, I do have a conversation with you, because what we are teaching, what John and I are teaching, can be used. It's an incredible instrument and tool, and it can be misused too. And I've seen people misuse it. That is not why we're teaching this. So if I get any kind of gut feeling that someone is taking our course, and it has happened that they wanted to take our course for the wrong reasons, we're not going to teach you, okay? I know most of you that are on this call and probably on Facebook Live as well. We just want to make sure that this valuable information gets into the right hands, because NLP is all about creating win-win-win scenarios. Win for you, win for your client, and win for the greater good. And if it's not a win-win-win, we don't want to have any part of it. Okay, so simply say I'm in the chat box right now. Send us an email to info@nlpatlanta.com, or I will, as you're typing in I'm in, I will send an email out to you. All of you have registered with your email address, so I have email access to you. For the ones that are listening on Facebook Live, just send us a quick note on info@nlpatlanta in the subject line I'm in, and we will get back with you ASAP. In the meantime, thank you for listening to us. We're going to have this same webinar again on the 31st of July. So we're going to have the same webinar again, or it's probably not the same, because John and I, it's the same content, and it's still going to be, it'll still be fun and interactive. So if you want to listen to it again, I'm going to send the recordings, invite other people. And John, thank you for being here yet again with us today. Thank you everyone for being here with us. Have a great weekend. Make it a fun one. I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.